Imagine that you're trying to convince a 14-year-old that they should care about their grades and study hard in school. Studying isn't that appealing on its own merits. On any given day, hanging out with their friends or scrolling TikTok or playing video games is always going to sound more fun than studying. So, how do you persuade them to do the less fun thing? Not just today, but 5 days a week for 4 years. There's three things you could do. Tactic number one, exert force. This is the because I said so strategy. You get angry at them if they don't study, you yell at them about their grades, you lecture them about how terrible their life will be if they don't get their act together, you ground them if they don't do their work. The pro of this strategy is it can be highly effective in the short term. The con is if this is the only tactic you use and you apply it 5 days a week for 4 years, you are going to wreck your relationship with this teenager. They'll hate you, or they'll hate themselves for never being able to measure up to your standards, or both. And they're probably going to get really good at being sneaky. They know that you'll yell at them if they do something wrong, so they'll learn how to hide their mistakes and hide their problems. Tactic number two, explain the long-term benefits. Use rational arguments, appeal to logic. Explain that their GPA is an average of all their grades across all 4 years, so every grade matters for the final result. Explain that GPA is one of the factors colleges will use when they're deciding who to admit, and that getting into a good college will not only enrich them educationally and socially, but also help them get a good job. And getting a good job is helpful for having a career and having a comfortable lifestyle and retiring with a nest egg. The pro of the strategy is this is an accurate description of the situation. It's a strong logical argument that would hold up well if you were in a debate tournament. But the con of the strategy is the day-to-day snap decision-making of teenagers and of adults is not driven by logic and reason. It's driven by impulses and emotions. This argument is logical, but it's pretty abstract. When it's 4 p.m. on a Tuesday and you want your teenager to do their calculus homework and not turn on the TV, is telling them about averages and college admissions and careers and financial stability really going to tip the scales? Or are they going to hear all that and be like, homework can wait a couple hours. What difference is it going to make anyway? The other drawback to this tactic is that it opens you up to negotiation. They might tell you things like college admissions. That's a rigged game anyway. I'm not even sure I want to go to college. Or a career. Working for companies is dead, boomer. I can make plenty of money by being an influencer. And suddenly, you've opened up a whole can of worms that you have no idea how to deal with. Or you can do tactic number three. Tie it to the kind of person that they want to be. Who do they look up to? Who are their role models? What people, real or fictional, do they idolize? Before you do any persuading or forcing, go in with curiosity to learn what kind of person they want to be. And then help them make the connection. A person like that does these things. Let's say they admire rappers. Well, rappers have an impressive command of poetry and language. Rappers do well in English class. And rappers need business savvy to build their business empires, which means rappers do really well in math class and economics class too. Or let's say they really admire influencers. Influencers are well organized and highly productive. They juggle a ton of hats every day, from content creation to negotiating deals, and they get it all done consistently and on time. The pro of the strategy is this is possibly the most effective motivation for choosing to do the less fun thing every single day for a long period of time. When you have a clear sense of who you want to be and how the actions you're taking today are making you more like that person, you want to do those things, even if they're inherently less fun than watching TV or hanging out with your friends. And when you use this strategy, it improves your relationship with that teenager. You don't scare them with punishments. You don't bore them with a lecture. You get curious about who they want to be, and you help them build a plan to get there. Here's the con of this strategy. You'll probably have to let go of what you think your teenager should be and embrace who they actually want to be. And that is pretty scary. You'll probably feel a strong urge to judge their desires instead of being curious about them. Your first instinct might be to say something like rapper, influencer, get out of here. You need to grow up and you are going to get a practical job. You don't react like that because you hate this kid. You react like that because you love this kid. You're trying to keep them safe and make sure they're happy and secure and successful, all of which are awesome end goals. But if you get too fixed about the specific pathway that leads to safety and security and happiness, you can end up quashing who they really are and wrecking your relationship with them. Which means you've got to stay open and curious, which is scary when the stakes seem so high, but it's worth it when it comes to the results that they can create and the relationship that you can build with them along the way. Now, why am I telling you all this? This isn't really parenting advice. This is self-parenting advice. That 14-year-old that needs to do their homework every day, that's you, except you don't need to do your homework. You need to do things like eat healthy, work out more, drink less, go to that awkward networking event, ask for that promotion, apply for that job, speak up in that meeting, or whatever other thing it is that you know would be good for you to do in the long term, but that you just don't feel like doing in the short term. And when you're motivating yourself to try to do that thing, don't exert force. That's only effective in the very short term. And over time, it wrecks your relationship with yourself. Don't appeal to logic and long-term benefits. They're all true, but it's not necessarily motivating in the moment. And sometimes it can send you down an endless rabbit hole of self-negotiation. Instead, what I want you to do is get curious about who you want to be and then help your brain make the connection. A person like that does these things. Don't ask, who should I be? Ask, who do I want to be? Listen to your brain's answer to that question with curiosity, not judgment. Don't shut it down. And then work together with your brain to start being that person today. If you're not sure exactly how to do all that, come talk to me and let's get started. Your inner 14-year-old is going to thank you. Go to the link above and book a free coaching consult.